there's plenty of kids already in the school system and all that need that type of supervision, and parents who do. But those parents who really need that, what's going to happen if you even think about pulling this kind of crap on them and trying to supervise them? They will ball up their fist and punch you in the face. They will hunt you down. They will shoot you. They will do whatever it takes to get you to leave them alone. And if they have to beat your ass and go to jail for it, they'll do it. They'll go to jail because they've already been. And it's second home for them anyway, along with their children. So who are you going to pick if you don't want to work for a living? You're going to pick somebody who believes in the system. Well, if you control the system, as we have a juvenile judge sitting on a bench in Shreveport testifying to a panel of juvenile judges that investigated corruption in the juvenile justice system across the state and found that, 80% of Caddo Parish juveniles and their families are forced to waive their constitutional rights. Okay. What does that tell you? Illegal investigative techniques, doesn't it? 80%? That means only 20% of those cases actually got justice. If you have to break the law to enforce it, then you're just as guilty as the person you're arresting. Why would you arrest them for breaking the law if you yourself are breaking the law? Because you have a good reason? Well, they think they have a good reason too, so what right do you have to do that? And the answer is that you don't. Nobody does. And it's a business, and that's what it is. It's a business, and somebody running a business, using a badge to do it, to make money, get paid, go after somebody who is a law-abiding citizen, doesn't do anything to hurt anybody, has faith in the system that you control, has never committed an act of violence or been charged with a crime, or ever been found to be guilty of pedophilia, or drugs or drinking or anything like that. Right? Easy target. Why? They're going to scream and yell to the people who they need to scream and yell to, the authorities who should be doing something about it, which they're all your friends. You got cops throwing them out on the street for no reason, or letting people do it, and doing those types of things, yeah. Then there's nobody to go to, is there? Except for maybe if you have a lawyer. And how many people actually make it to a courtroom? You know how many cases that is? 80% of the cases in the juvenile justice system here force the juveniles and their families to waive their constitutional rights. How many families does that work out to be? And how many of them statistically find a lawyer? And if one of them found a lawyer out of 1,000, what's the risk there? Pretty nil, isn't it? If they sue, if they get a lawyer and sue, okay, well, that's only going to come out of the state treasury anyway, to find out who you are and all those types of things. So if there's a lawsuit and somebody gets penalized for it, what's going to happen? The state's going to have to write a check to that person. No personal cost to the investigator, right? Really. True genius. So now I'm going to go in here and look at Craigslist and, the 2 or 3 numbers I could call. Jake's got to take that park test Monday. Barker has left a message, a voicemail for me Friday, saying that if I didn't have a medical excuse for Jacob on Monday to take the park test, that he couldn't take it. So well, my tire, I had to replace my tire, and I spent 3 hours doing it. First place I went when I got up Friday was to go take care of this tire situation. There was a knot. My back tire was wobbling very badly, and I might not have made it to his school. You know, that was a risk that I would have been taking, which would have endangered his safety if I had attempted to get him to school. Well, why didn't you get somebody to take your son to school for you? Why didn't you call a taxi? Because I don't have $40 or $50 to drop on a taxi to take my son to school. So I can't say anything else about it. You know. You know, she's saying it has to be a medical excuse. Usually, those kind of situations, even if it's not medical, if you have a bona fide reason, you know, which I can justify with receipts, then, yeah, you know, it's proof. Proof enough. So if she'll accept it, she will. If she won't, well, then Jake will flunk the 7th grade over the principal's decision. And if she does that, then I don't know, I'm thinking about pulling him out anyway because of what he's going through and what the principal's doing to him. And you know, I don't want to do that. I guess I'd be better off trying to get a restraining order to prevent it, other than having to pull him out of school. But then you walk into having to deal with the courts and stuff like that, and there's some, you know, I gotta find a place for us to live, and I'm sitting here talking to a fucking videotape. Why? Because I know I'm going to look on Craigslist, and there's really only 1 or 2 places that I can call where maybe my son and I might get a place. And I know what I've already been through, and I've called people, and then they are told that I'm a scam artist, and then they change their mind. And that has to be my phone records, because I'm sitting in this truck. Because there's no way anybody could know, you know, who I'm calling and stuff. And Double O Dumbfuck is wanting to control our living situation in places where we stay and where we live. Well, that is not really true. If I call somebody, then you turn around and call them back because you have surveillance in my vehicle and can hear me make the phone call, or you're accessing my phone records. Doesn't mean you were the one that called them. It means I was. And you're interfering in our housing by calling them and telling them not to rent to me and my son. And that's what happened with this guy over on Preston Avenue. And then, you know, so we're homeless and we're homeless and we're homeless. Great. So what? We sleep on the street now? So I can work at Taco Bell and make $8 an hour when I have a college degree. Or if it's not Taco, and deal with people that I know are snitches and are basically bold-faced deceiving me. You know, answering the phone and saying, wait a minute, you know, let me get out the door, and then saying hello into it, as though they're in my presence. That's falsifying evidence. That's me not having any knowledge of the phone call. The only way I can prove that is by making this video, and if I had it, I would have cameras and everything in my possession that I would use to prove it as it happens, and I have been able to capture it on occasion. So, you know, I've got it. I've got the evidence for it, but it didn't change our situation. So I'll go in there and I'll get some numbers off Craigslist. I'll write a note for Barker, make copies of these receipts, and then Jake and I'll be on the street again when the library closes. We're on the street now. Isn't everybody having fun getting a paycheck, doing nothing?